What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Wednesday. I'm certainly not. That was a very disappointing loss for my Dodgers last night. Very, very tilted about, first of all, the Machado not being called out for running out of the baseline. Very, very tilted by the stupid play by Rojas. Very tilted. You couldn't get a good runner on base for the last 6 innings. So, look, it is what it is. It's must-win time. We're going to talk through this slate from a DFS perspective, and it's actually like the last 4-game slate I think we should get, most likely. It's definitely, I guess it's possible. Is it? I think it is possible that we don't. But all right. Anyway, so let's get into it. We're going to talk through this and see what's what. I did load here basically some outlined exposures for what I'm running in the lottery. You can see like not one pitcher looks good. Look at these projections. 13 fantasy points is the highest. It's one of the rare times you'll see Quintana look like the most, the best play in a lot of ways. And I'm actually above the field on him. But yeah, it's a pretty ugly pitching slate. So as you can see here in my hand builds, I do have Lugo and Quintana the most. After that, I do think getting to Cease and Schmidt are probably the right ideas from a DFS perspective. I did end up getting a little bit of the Montero and Cobb just to mix things up, because literally a guy could pitch like 3 or 4 innings today, and that might be good enough. It's just one of these weird slates that, you have to run through this time of year. So this is sort of an accurate depiction of what I'm sort of ending up on. You can see I'm a little below on Cease, but I did build him into some more hand builds. The Dodgers have been pretty good against him, but they will probably give him a little more leash than most pitchers up 2-1, and it's his last time he'll pitch in the series. I'm not even 100%. I know they announced he was starting. I'm still skeptical. I thought they might use Martin Perez at some point in this series, especially for this left-handed of a dominated lineup, and especially since Cease hasn't really fooled anybody. In fact, Michael King hasn't really fooled anybody. Putting righties against these Dodgers is probably not the ideal way to go. So I kind of thought that they would do that, but I guess they want to give Cease and Darvish each one more start. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Again, I like the Dodgers a lot. I'm going to show you guys sort of what I got to team stacks wise. You can see I have the Dodgers the most, but I'm not going. I'll go to stack exposure first, actually, because I have a very spread out way. I do not care about having these 5-2, 5-3, 5x as being my primary. I don't think the correlation is as important enough on this slate. I do think it's possible one team goes nuts, so I wanted to get like 10% of it. So I spread out my stack exposure, and then I wanted to get heavier with my stacks. You can see 54% Dodgers. But getting to a little bit of everybody, in terms of 5-man stacks, it's going to be more, and again, I don't have very many. Cleveland, Philadelphia, the teams that are a little bit easier to get in, whereas the Dodgers are going to dominate the 3-man stacks for me. And you can see the 4-man stack, San Diego, and the Dodgers highest of the 3-mans and the 2-mans for sure by a long shot, which is going to be a lot of Ohtani Betts, Ohtani Teoscar, Ohtani Edman, Ohtani Lux, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where I'm at now. And again, remember, we don't have lineups yet, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. In terms of like some of the other things that I was looking at today, I did do some showdown builds. For everybody who's a member, I posted all those exposures in the Discord, and I don't plan on changing them much because we do have the starting lineups out for the first 2 games. Still don't have the Yankees lineup out yet, but it should be out any minute. And I'm only expecting one potential change from what it could be, and that's whether Cabrera plays or not. But I think as of right now, we're expecting him to. And I think where people are going to be targeting this Yankees KC, I like targeting the Dodgers and San Diego. And I think that'll be the next most owned. Let's just take a quick look at the ownership here. Yeah, you can see it's a combination of Dodgers, San Diego, KC, and the Yankees. The only reason I'd like to get a little overweight on some of these other guys. So I wanted just specific hitters to target. You can see I put a minimum percentage on some of the guys I just wanted to target today. Judge, Ohtani. I like the matchups for them. Obviously, Bobby Witt, I always want to be over the field here. And then you're going to have a low ownership on Ramirez, which means I'm going to be playing a lot of cheap guys because I did want to spend up for these guys. And then obviously Tatis is just on fire right now. Kind of feels stupid not to just make Tatis the highest owned. I think that's really, really viable. Like if you wanted to, I just personally went a different route and ended up with more Ohtani than anything else. But this is sort of what my hitter exposure looks like. I don't love this that I'm not in my high buy-ins, but I don't love that he's not in my high buy-ins. I like it more for the lottery than Manzardo because I don't know how long we're expecting Montero to stick around. Maybe he gets 1 time through the order, maybe he gets 2. I don't know if Manzardo, because you had the lefty and then the switch hitter at the top of the lineup, I think he's very likely to get pinch hit for after 2 at bats. So that's just why I was lower on that. We do have Austin Hayes showing up in here, but that's because I ran this before that was built. Obviously, I've eliminated Austin Hayes from my builds. That was just a possibility. But this is sort of what I'm getting, and this is sort of what I wanted to get to today. Be overweight the Dodgers against C's. Again, not getting way off the board with that. Actually, it was the more the other day than it's going to be today. But I think it's still good to get over the field. And also, I have plenty of late swapping ability after each game. I think it's really important on these kind of slates that you are late swapping consistently, not just based on how you've done, but you can even use this, use the SaberSim optimizer to update everything if you want to, or you can do it based on how you've done, both good and bad. Maybe take more chances if you got zeros from a few hitters early on. Maybe play a little more conservatively if you have a low-owned Kyle Manzardo hits a home run or something like that. Just it's pretty simple. What's up to my man D Pope? He says he's playing a 20 max cap pitchers at 35%, and I X'd out 5-3 and 4-4 today. I like that idea. That's fine. Min uniques at 5. Okay, that's it. I like that run, D Pope. That makes a lot of sense to me. And yeah, I mean, I could see I wanted to get a little bit more of my imprint on these things. Some of these plays feel very fishy. The fact that like Alex Cobb, I don't know why even like Landon Knack is to me as good of a play as Alex Cobb. So I actually got to Knack a couple times in my other builds. You could just see though, none of these pitchers expected to throw a ton. If I had to pick one pitcher to try to win the slate, it would be Lugo. He's been really good against these Yankees, and look, they also are one of the stacks you want to get to. So it's kind of a tricky situation, but because of it, expect him to be lower owned. And going over to FanDuel, you can expect him even lower owned. I think they've got him sub 10% right now. Let's do this real quick. And yeah, you can see that Lugo has the 5th highest pitcher at less than 10%. And I think he has the highest ceiling of any of the pitchers. Quintana has been good against these Phillies and has probably the longest leash today. You got him with the most pitches at 90. If Lugo's cruising, the strikeouts could be there. So those are my favorites. Clark Schmidt, Dylan Cease, as I mentioned, the next two that I would get after. And yesterday it was an interesting slate because, like you said, you had the Mets, but not the right ones. I don't even know that the Mets were the optimal. I think that if you could somehow find a way to get to Teoscar, Tatis, and I guess that some of the Mets, I guess Alonso in there would be one. Yeah, I guess that look, it's one of these things where I really don't think you need to overly worry about stacking here. And I'll just go through real quick. I just thought I would talk about my favorite hitting options from each team because you can sort of see where my ownership is. Obviously, Jose Ramirez, my favorite hitting option from Cleveland, but he's expensive. Again, I'm okay to do that and take some chances on some lower stuff. So he is definitely my favorite today. And you can sort of see where I am in relation to the field, just a little bit overweight most of Cleveland. Not all of it, but as a stack overall, I think I'm going to be higher than the field. And as far as Detroit goes, getting right near the field in terms of overall stacks, but in my hand builds, I did get to more Veerling. So I probably have closer to 25% of Veerling as opposed to this number. And I have Parker Meadows in my biggest buy-in on FanDuel and in my second biggest buy-in on DraftKings. So even though I only see it looks like I have him 6%, I actually have quite a bit more. And it's kind of interesting. This Cleveland-Detroit game is getting a little bit ignored. That's something you could certainly do is maybe try to overexpose yourself to this game because I didn't go that route, but I do think that it is a completely viable route. The hitters in this one, again, you're getting a lot of respect for the Yankees and Dodgers here. And I just want to be a little bit over on some of the guys. Again, Bader, I had to sub out. Hayes, I had to sub out. Sosa, I had to sub out. So you can cross those guys out. But you can see I'm a little bit overweight most of the situations here. And I actually, with the rebuilds, did get to some more Lindor, Vientos, Marte, Turner, and especially Harper, who I don't even think I have very much here. Yeah, I got Harper more in the single entries. A lot of stacks to like today. Not a lot of pitching to love. Look, maybe my Dodgers just lay down. You can play Dylan Cease. I don't think so, but you can go ahead and do it. That's certainly something that crossed my mind. I don't feel good about it morally. It doesn't feel right. All right, you can see that you're getting some pretty heavy exposure on the Yankees, and I am going to be beneath it outside of the Judge play. Soto, I have entered into some of my single entry stuff, but I would like to have gotten to a little more of them. Again, I have plenty of time to late swap, so I can adjust all this stuff later. I'm actually going to make a little note to get a little Soto if I need to later, just to get a little differentiator from the judge. And then on the KC side, just a little bit over the field on the main guys, and then kind of a little bit under the field on some of the others. Salvador Perez is another one that I could end up seeing myself getting to later today. Just didn't get there as much in my normal early builds. Dodgers, obviously love Ohtani, love Edmonds. Great stolen base matchup against Cease, if it is in fact Cease. Batting at the bottom of the order, you certainly have a chance for him to run. It's a little tricky when you have only one batter between he and Ohtani. So he's only going to have to really go during that hitter because you're not going when Ohtani's up, hardly ever, unless you're like sure you got it. But you can see where my Dodger exposure is. And Mookie is one I have in my hand builds more. Teoscar is another one I have in my hand builds more. Freddie, I was tempted to, but I actually was surprised. I told myself if Freddie was sub 10%, I would go after it. But him just being a little bit over made me sort of stay away. And while I didn't get to Pages in these builds, I do have a ton of Pages in my hand builds because he makes a lot of things work. And we don't even know for sure that he's in tonight. It could easily be a different situation. Gavin Luck's another one that I have in a ton of my hand builds, but not necessarily in these ones. Obviously, Tatis is going to be at the top for San Diego. Want to be at least overweight that number. Again, it's really hard to be overweight all the high spend ups without spending all the way down in some places. But I like that quite a bit. Kind of sad I didn't get to more Merrill, but he's in one of my big buy-ins. Machado's in one of my big buy-ins, so that's sort of how I'm evening out there. But you can see I'm sort of a little bit above the field on some San Diego and just underweight the Merrill and Higgy. But I've got Higashioka actually, and again in some of my hand builds. We'll talk 31-24 Niners. I can just tell you that number seems absurdly high. We saw the one crazy Thursday game, and now everybody's going to assume the overs. I don't know, man. I'm going to go back and look at it before tomorrow. But it does seem like a high score. But maybe he's right. Deep Hope's been pretty close quite a few times. So we'll put the 31-24 into the memory bank. I didn't have a whole bunch else to go over. I thought I'll go through my showdowns real quick. I'll just go through the Philly and New York ones, I think. You can see my captain percentage over here. I decided to go lower on the pitchers and as captains, still getting some, but I didn't want to get they were trying to give me all the Quintana. I don't feel great about that. Philly's good against lefties. So I wanted to get the hitters to be my featured part of this. And I actually wanted to use Suarez a little bit more than Quintana, which I did in the utility spot where I had to. All right, let's see. Yeah, let's see I'm trying to think here. Oh, okay. So anyway, so this is sort of my general exposure there. Usually I just save this stuff for the premium members, but I thought I would just go through it because it's a small, it's baseball. Not a ton of people are playing. I have more Schmidt and Lugo. I actually think both of these guys have plenty of upside to consider. Now, Schmidt has had 3 starts against KC, and he's been terrible in all of them. But I still didn't mind getting a little overweight. I did want to force in some Verdugo, Judge, obviously, Witt, obviously, Soto. I think I'm going to end up considering maybe changing a little bit more Soto. And then utility, you see Osvaldo Cabrera because he makes things work. Kyle Isbell because he makes things work. And that's sort of the route you're going. Did find myself leaving quite a bit on the table in this one. Haven't built my Dodger ones yet, so I can't get into that one for showdown later, but I will post it for all members in the Discord a little later on this afternoon. All right. What else is there? You said more of LA Dodgers and what other stacks? Oh, like I said, I'm trying not to overstack today. So I'll go back to my stacks here. But this is what I sort of, again, it's a little bit rough because I had to change some things with some of the guys who were out, and I ran this early this morning. You can see the Dodgers are my heaviest owned team, followed by San Diego, Mets, KC, New York, and they're all pretty similar down here. But I guess the main thing is I'm a little bit over on Cleveland, Detroit. I'm definitely well over on the Dodgers, and I think I'm over on the Mets a little bit higher than the field. So that's sort of the way I built. But you can see my stack exposures are varied big time. I don't mind any type of stack. You could tell me anything today, and it's all like I got 2-2-2-2s. The no stacks you didn't get to because that means you kind of have to use hitters against your pitcher, but I don't quite want to go there on this slate, although I don't mind it. Like, it's not the worst idea. Anyway, so you can see I'm very spread out in terms of stack exposure, and I wanted to be because I felt it was more important for me to try to get the hitters I wanted to get in and try to get, even if it's mini stacks or whatever, I just wanted to make sure to be overweight the Ohtani, Judge, again, Tatis, Jose Ramirez, Bobby Witt. I just wanted to be overweight all those guys. And the one I should go back to program is the Soto. So that is a note that I have for later today. In fact, if my lineups aren't doing great or nothing's really happened with them, I think just swapping Soto for Judge, you'll get a lot lower ownership. I think you will, at least. Let me just see where Judge is at 20 and Soto is at 14. So yeah, I think you get a little bit different with that. But I like the Soto play a ton. I couldn't spend up for every spend up. And again, don't forget that I did cross these guys off, the Bader, the Hayes, and all that stuff. You do have the super value on DraftKings for the value plays. Manzardo, again, probably gets 2 at-bats. Isbell, safe to get his at-bats, but batting 9th. Gurriel is the low-owned one that people don't want to use because it's first base, and he doesn't really have power. But why do you need to hit a home run? That doesn't mean a first baseman is necessarily going to hit a home run today. And maybe he gets 2 doubles and gets there anyway. Also, he can just get 8 points if another guy gets 16. You're still okay because you're saving that money where you can spend up on guys like Tatis and Ohtani and Betts and Teoscar and Jackson Merrill and all that stuff, as well as the Yankee guys, of course. So that's sort of just a run through what I'm thinking today. Please hit the like button, guys. We appreciate it. We'll be live tomorrow I'll do my NFL preview sometime in the morning. I'm not sure what time yet. And I will do we'll do what's it called? A showdown. It will be me and Cruz tomorrow night. So set your clocks. We got me and Cruz at 6:30 Eastern, and should be a lot of fun. Love having Cruz on the shows. We've had a lot of engagement, a lot of fun during those. So make sure to tune in for that. Guys, please hit the like and subscribe. I'm going to say that I think I'm probably going to get out of here because I've got to finish my build, and then I've got some appointments that I really don't want to have to do. Anyway, appreciate all you guys very much. Hope everybody has a wonderful day. Good luck.